Hello, guys and girls, and welcome to the second week of PKL, the Korean PUBG Pro League, or the PUBG Korean League, as it stands. I'm Toby, and if you haven't watched week one, it's already uploaded. You can go see that. If you have, then welcome back, and yeah, let's get straight into it. 4 games on the day. It's Group A and Group B playing, and we're starting with Miramar. Last week, week one, it was one Erangel game followed by a Sanhok game and then 2 Miramar games. This time around now it's 1 Miramar game and then Sanhok and then 2 Erangel games. So they're swapping around each week so that we get the same amount of games overall. But playing is pretty decent. It's fairly north. At least a lot of teams go out somewhat northern if we cut it over the middle, but still a decent chunk going down south, and the circle goes down south. Now I'm gonna draw these areas up. We've seen them so many times before if you've been following my analysis, and these 2 points are the not the no-go but the tricky rotation paths, because for teams that are still up north, going through Picado is gonna be hard. Going down through Monte is gonna be tricky because you don't know what's happening and you pretty much can only go down here. And the same thing with Graveyard, really. So I would assume to see teams either come around this side or either all the way around there or around here to the circle. And then again with Los Leones, that forces some teams to go even further underneath because you don't want to go inside the city. We'll see what happens now that the teams get going. Griffin Black, they're gonna go down towards Valley. Geek Squad, they're these guys, they are the one of the newly added teams. We can go over them real quickly. We got Geek Squad, we got Damwong, and we have the guys with S there. So these 3 teams are the 3 teams that are coming from the contenders of last phase. So we'll see. That's a nice nickname. It is very long though, and my booty is not that good at popping, so that's not gonna happen. I'm sorry. As I said, rotation around the southern side, rotation around the west, and these guys, they're not gonna go down here, they're not gonna go down here, they're gonna go all the way over. Exactly as we assumed, I guess you can say, with the PKL teams. Actually, if we go back, let's just draw it up again. I have to tell you, I didn't watch any of these games. So we have a rotation path down here, and I said this is not gonna be used at all, right? There's gonna be nobody rotating here. Then I said teams could be rotating around here, and then when it comes to loss, you're gonna force teams around this way too. Same thing here. You're not gonna go through Monte, you're gonna go underneath or underneath. And let's see how the teams are rotating it. Around. I guess they kind of went through, but they were also the ones looting there, so it wasn't really a big deal. Through. What does Fatal do? Do they go through the middle on the dirt, or do they go around the left side? I guess they can go straight because now they've sat up here for a while, so they've made sure to clear the path. Hello, Galway. How are you doing? So they all go down again. Los Leones is quite a big chunk of the circle that's not really being used for anything. And now we go over here, which is very, very similar to where we saw we had a PEL game last week where we had, I think it was 5 teams crashing this compound, not at the same time, but this compound ended up getting crashed by 5 different teams. So that was pretty interesting. Pretty damn interesting. Let's see now. Griffin Black, they get to go there. Nice job by them. Coming from the south, scout, move, scout, move. Great play. Really good. I mean, and they get complete, look at the circle. They get complete center off of that. That is very impressive. And they get to go right in the middle as well. Oops, I just baited all of you with a Facebook notification. I'm sorry. Now, Church, of course, still an OP place to sit. There's a dip down here that you can sit in, but it's pretty horse poop. And then you have an unplayable terrain, unplayable terrain, unplayable terrain. I guess we can draw it up like this. It's actually it's more like this. Unplayable terrain. So, and this is also really not playable. So if you look at how much of this circle is practically useless, I mean, it still takes up space, but you can't really do anything with it. The center is very, very limited to only having, honestly, 3-4 decent compounds in the middle. So if it shifts to an edge, if you're in the middle, it should be decent. But if it goes, like, continues going center, then all the guys that are out here now, they're gonna be completely screwed. You don't like that the text is so big around the players? Is that better? Is this better? I don't know. I see what you're saying, but I think it's good for the info. Someone sliding in my DMs. Yeah, that is true. It was my fiance. Whew. Slides into my DMs all the time. It's not good. Now let's see. Again, everyone is very, other than APK, they know they have to make a move somewhere. And they also had a pretty bad week 1, so they need to do something, right? They can push down to the compound, they can move over, they can try and rotate underneath, but they're waiting for that new circle to pop. So is everyone else. QDR, they're sitting really well on top, Quattro. You got a interesting 3-way split actually from SK Telecom, but they're so far out on the edge that odds are they won't get a whole lot from it. Fatal, they're sitting in a 2-way split, and then you have a 3-1 split kind of by Geek Squad. But by sitting here, this split, they're making sure that, like, they have full control of what's behind them as well. They're making sure that this is all clear by having such a wide split. Now circle goes east, and this is a circle we've seen before many times. This little area up here is always interesting, and again, keep in mind all these areas that we drew up before still rather unplayable. And this forces a, oh, this is so interesting. There's just so many circles that are very similar these days with PEL and PKL. But in any case, Chuma is obviously gonna be, because if you're, let's see this, there, now the shift comes, right? I mean, this is a complete replica of a PEL game we had the other day. So APK, they need to do something. They didn't want to go to the compound. Now it makes no sense because it's not even inside the circle. This you can go through, but where do you go? Do you crash Afrika? Do you crash the compound? Those are pretty much your only 2 options. They've been sitting up here, they've been scouting. They know at least that these guys are here and they know that there are people on the hilltop. So if they start driving down here, they know that they're gonna get shot at before they even get to the compound. And then when they get there, already potentially low on health, they have to take a 4-man fight. That's not really good. So they say, good, this doesn't work. This doesn't work. This makes no sense. There's only one option left. We have to go into Chuma. Because Chuma 0 might not be inside the circle, but then we can push around and play, like, potentially go and crash something up here. You just have to find some sort of access to the circle, right? Same thing happening up here. If you're DD or DBG Danawa, what can you do? Do we go up here and around? No, they've scouted. They know there are people here, here, and here. They could backtrack these guys. If they scout over and see that the Quattro are leaving, they could try and push behind them. But then even if you get up here, where do you go? Here, crash compound. Here, crash compound. Is there anything else you can play? Nope, because church is in. And this is unplayable when both of these 2 are in. You cannot sit over here. So they say, what are our options? Well, we can't do anything in this direction. We could potentially try and crash over, but they have no vision on this area, so they don't know if there's anyone up there. Also, they know that there are people here, so if they start driving this way, then odds are that Afrika Freaks Ares will start shooting up at them, or run up here, be here by the time that they get out of the vehicles and then kill them. So they say, what are options? Well, I guess we gotta crash Chuma. It's the exact same situation that APK is in, they just do it on the other side of the circle. So they both go in from each side of the road to the city, all start driving forward, and that creates a cluster of teams in Chuma. That's when you have a city with a really small entrance to the circle, that becomes chaotic as hell. Same thing happening on the southern side. If you're sitting up on the hilltop, whether you're Damwong or you're Stardom, you want to crash? No. Want to crash? No. You have a dip here that we can play. These guys go down. They know they're going to get contested by force if they do. But Stardom goes down to play it. Damwon sees that they crash it. They go, well, I guess we lost that spot. Now they have to do something else. And now they're being indecisive. And that's what I think I see a lot of in PKL as compared to PEL. Teams are being indecisive. It seems like they're like, oh, we should do this. But if you want to crash this area, which is shit, if you want to crash that, then you send all 4 people or 3 and leave 1 guy behind with some sort of angle that he can shoot at them when they peek. If you know there's a 4-man team here and there's a split down here, obviously the split can be a good idea, but you cannot just send 2 guys in. Your chance of survival is so small that it's just, yeah, it's just suicidal. So they make decisions too late. That ends up getting them down to 2 players. Then they crash the other way. So instead of taking 1 4-man fight, they take 2v whatever fights. They're lucky that Force is here to help them, so they end up surviving. Now the new circle forces everyone out into the open. They see a Freak of Freaks leave, and they go over and take control. Good job scouting. They see them leave. They even get a knock and a flush on towards one of them. Boom, go over, take it over. Smart play. Now, because the northern side is out, these hills are now playable. But all the pressure, if you look at what's outside the circle and what's inside here, where can, I mean, somebody over here is going to win this, right? Where can they go? Can you go down here? I'm going to draw it in a different color. Can you go down here? Nope, because the compound is still in. Can you go to church? Yes, but then you have to fight for it. So that's go. Can you push around the side? Nope, because compound is in, so that's also a no-go. So your only real choice here is either you crash this or you crash this once this fight is over. If you even get to survive, that is. So we see multiple teams go up. As I said, the only direction they can go is over towards church. And obviously VSG knows this, so they need to spend their time holding them off. And now the situation becomes the same again. If you're VSG, what can you do? Can you cross the road? Nope. Compound guys are going to be up there. Can you go down here? Nope, because these guys are going to come up there. You have to just send it straight to the middle. There's like a dip thingy over here you can push up to. Or you will have to take a fight. The only issue is now that they took this fight, they're taking this fight to SKT1, which kind of makes sense, but they also have a team pushing them from behind, and now they're getting completely sandwiched in between these 2 teams. And that should get them killed, and it does. So Entis Ace is up and above, but it really screws over them. Like, they really get themselves screwed over because of how they decide to push it. On the backside, Gen G makes a good clear on, I believe it's, yep, OPGG. They crash their compound, they get to survive. Entis Force, they play it on the slow side. They always play slow, Entis Force. Like, they never engage anything. They play slow and they let opponents come to them. Which is why there's still 4 guys up late. They just adapt. Move in. 2v2 now, 1 down and 1v1. Chelator, 1v2. Genji against Force. Boom. Force wins the game. Good game overall. I mean, if you follow Force from early on and see how they play, they just play edge. They play it slow and on the edge. Look at this. They come into the circle late. They know they're late, so they're not going to try and contest anything. Stay on the edge. Kale goes to scout further forward. Edge. Stay on the edge. Scout further forward. Boom. Take what you're given and don't overstep. Move around. Stay on the edge. And then sure, the circles kept going in their direction, kind of. But they played the edge smart. Play the edge. Take what you're given. Play the edge. Take what you're given. Play the edge. Take what you're given. They never just... Oh, new circle popped. Let's just crash into the center. They play it smart and they only take what they see is available. And that's why they might not, I think, I don't know exactly at this point. Let's see. So at this point, they only have 2 kills. And there's only 7 teams left alive. But they end up with what? In the end, they have 9 kills and a win. So that's a 19-point game. Pretty damn decent for a game where they had only 2 kills with 22 people alive. Good first game for them. That was game number 1. And again, guys, remember, if you have any questions along all of this, do feel free to ask. That was a game numero uno. And now we're going over to Sanhok, which is always interesting. Because it's Sanhok. Wait, was he in a boat? Okay. Hwasong takes a boat. OP gets boot camp for themselves. Are there anyone contesting anything here? No. And it seems like STA actually landed. Huh, interesting. Stardom was that team that, I don't know if you guys saw any of my analysis or if you watched any of the games in the last week. They were playing a strategy where they would jump in the parachutes. As soon as they get in the air, they would spam F to pop their parachutes. And then they would fly around until the first circle pops and try and fly somewhere center, which never really worked out. I mean, they ended up getting a decent placement, but it never really worked out for them. So so we'll see now. We'll see now how it goes for them when they don't get to land in the middle of the circle every time. I'll slow it down a little bit. I go over these Sanhok games a little faster because I don't think they're like and what do you say? Analytically worth it to spend time on. And in order to keep the videos somewhat short, at least to a certain extent, then ooh, that's sad. Griffin Black got caught out by Freaka Ares. They're not gonna rotate in and wait for them. Just Rage Lift remaining. Good call to leave. And now let's see the new circle pops. Yep, it's gonna go over there guaranteed. And the next one has to shift away from water. So it cannot be anywhere up here. It has to be over here somewhere. Everyone starts fighting on the edge. Center is just gonna chill. It's actually surprising to me that they disengage from Paradise. I would assume that you would set up in Paradise. I know it can be difficult to get out of there, but I would have thought that more teams would have opted to take control of Paradise. Yep, exactly where we said it was gonna go. Force take Paradise. Now let's see. ESP tries to push in. This is it. Center. These guys are obviously not center, but they're still in, right? They're just gonna chill. They have no reason to go anywhere. And everyone else is fighting on the edge. Oh, it's a Paradise circle. Who would have thought? Center. Just chill and let everyone else fight. That is exactly what happens. Choke point. Technically a choke point on the east, but only APK is there. And choke point on the north. These guys, they can just chill. Now they have to move themselves. Still surprising no one's inside Paradise. SKT1, good positioning for them. Now they get the circle too. They get to chill for a little while, but they also have to, I mean, this is a really tricky area to fight in, so I like that they play it smart and don't just go center, because you don't want to have to fight team. Like right now on Sanhok, if you can know for a fact that you have only to look in one direction. I mean, Adder can look here, he can look here and make sure no one of these guys is trying to push around. And Jeff and Helen can look up here, right? So as long as they know that their entire back this way is safe, that makes playing Sanhok so much easier. The issue on Sanhok is when you have to spin around all the time and try and find people, right? So, great. I like that they stay here. And it's because had they pushed more center, then other teams could potentially have pushed underneath. And that would have opened up for more angles for opponents to shoot them from. So we go back into Paradise. Stay outside of Paradise a little while longer. Last circle is going to go on the dot. I think that's now right. Yeah. How many teams were alive when this happened? 15 players alive in the final circle. SKT try to take control. They should be able to win this game too. Ooh, Force, Indigo, Anonix goes down, 3v1. SKT wins it, but Force gets a win and a second place to follow. That's pretty impressive. Also, in... what can that be? SKT1 has 1 win, 2 wins out of 3. They've won 2 of 3 of their Sanhok games. That's pretty impressive. Gotta say, that is pretty impressive actually. So SKT1 wins it. They play it smart. They stay on the edge. They find the quiet side of the circle. And they manage to not over-aggress. Like if you overstep on Sanhok and you leave yourself vulnerable to extra angles, then you're just doomed. So good job by SK Telecom not doing that. Let's see. Game 3. Let me just take a cup of water. And And again, questions in the chat, let me know. Questions. If you're watching on YouTube, feel free to say, hey, Toby, you talked about this thing right there. And then what you can do is you can just write the time in the in the comment, and then I can clip in and see exactly what it is that you're talking about. If there's something you guys are having questions about. But in any case, game number 3. Keep in mind also that PKL only has 4 games, where PL has 5. Force gets this to themselves. OP, GG goes Millie. VSG is back up north. They looted South George last week, but that was because Gen G, was not playing. So they can alter between the two. If they're not in the Gen G group, they go North George. If they're in the G, or South George, if they are in the Gen G group, they go North George. Ares is gonna go north. This is a split that I don't see too often, but I like it. You got looted so quickly now anyway, so it doesn't really matter too much. But we got an APK. Did he loot and then... Oh no, he's there. So this is a wide split. I like it too. They're putting, like, they're applying pressure on this side. And they're also, like, really spread out so they can get a lot of info on what they should do. Freak of Freaks. Power. Yeah, overall, not really a whole lot of surprises on anything. SGA, they're gonna start moving early. They get the twins. Normally, I don't like sitting inside this compound. I think you should take control. Like, if you can have one guy down here, but you need to take control of the forest above. Because if an enemy team comes up here, they aren't gonna be there. Like, they're not gonna be visible to this, and they can put so much pressure on you down here. I think that's really important to have some control above if you're gonna sit in this compound. You can see now EJ is up here. These guys, the way a Freak of Freaks Ares is splitting this is so good compared to what STA. Because STA came up early. Had they just sent 2 guys in here, 2 guys up here, they could have taken down EJ, and maybe also gotten Roa before he even got up there. Fights escalate south. They both try to go Volcano to scout. They run into each other. That's APK and Geek Squad. Slow it down a little bit. Damwon coming in late. Where's OP? They're leaving now. Super late, so they know they won't get contested. Probably spent a little more time getting loot. And now we're going east. This is fairly open still. I mean, it has been changed. There's more cover now than what there used to be. But it's still fairly open. So you have a big contrast in like this area up here, which is like the big forest area. All of this. You have a lot of open over here. And technically a lot of open down here as well. And then of course you have the water in play too. And at this point, I don't think anybody really wants to cross bridges unless if they have control. So most teams, if they're still in the south, would have to cross over this way. World Clash push over north up towards Severny. They need to pick up Yaeva. Back for him they go. Griffin Black is coming right after. Again, splits. Teams are... That's the funny thing to me about Korean PUBG. Because people say that, oh, the Korean PUBG is so much more... what's the word? Thought through, and they play so much smarter. But I'm like... They are allowing for opponents... Like, look at how much control they have. It's 4 teams... And they have pretty much the entire center of the circle. With the exception of Entis Force, who's kind of crammed in here because there's only, I think, 2 or 3 guys alive. Everyone's allowed to split so widely because nobody contests it. They need to have one of those phase type teams that are never scared to breach or like pull up on a building. But since nobody does it in Korean PUBG, then it becomes extremely tricky to... yeah, nobody can really do it. SGA goes down, they're all held off by 1 or 2 players. As I said, everyone else is gonna cram out on the east side. Maverick tries to send it in, he goes to the shack, gets himself killed. DG hiding on the rocks. Had you told me that in this phase you would have a 3-way split in the center, with these compounds being 1 team, I would not believe you. Same thing with these 2 compounds. Teams should way earlier have noticed that this is a 2-way split. If a team out here in PEL saw that there were 2 guys down here, only 1 vehicle or whatever, they would have crashed it much earlier. Doesn't happen though, so we'll see now. Circle goes up, everyone's fighting on the downside edges. I like the QDR. Finally, somebody just says, you know what? I don't think there's a lot of people there. Vroom. Let's send it, and they do. They force DD further in. Still, if you see that there's just 2 guys in here, which people should have noticed by now, that's when you crash it. Because there have been 2 guys in that gas station for a very long time. These guys, if they don't push up, then, I mean, they kind of can't do that now. And nobody's crashing it. I am very confused. It seems like Quattro is the only team that really dares make moves on their opponents. SKT1, they push over towards Ensis. So that's actually good timing on that push too. As you can see, they're focusing on Sparrow, who just left the compound up here. And they come over and get them taken down. Now Sparrow comes down to fight them south. A Freak of Freaks come over the top to push out. And all of a sudden Quattro. That is clean up. That was very clean. Genji, nice timing. Genji realizes, I mean, first off, they have to clear out Rage. Then they go back to heal. And then you see as soon as they're ready to go, they have realized already, DD, they have left the gas station. This is our time to go. Boom, they sent it in. And they take the fight to Quattro. Immediately get 1 knock, get 2 flushes. Fight goes on the other side. Style is by himself trying to get some kills. He pushes towards SKT. Okay, that's interesting. Gets 2 knocks. That's ballsy. Solo player just sends it towards them. I mean, obviously there's very limited cover here, but that's a gutsy play. Gets 2 guys knocked. Finds Adder. Oh, he goes down. That's unfortunate. Genji, they want to take control. They know they have the center. Quattro is in there. So it's the teams. I mean, no matter who wins this one, it's the teams who dare. It's very easy to see. It's Quattro and it's Genji. Genji ends up winning the game. It's the teams who dare that wins. Because if you keep sitting back and allowing for other teams to take control, then odds are that you don't really get to do anything. So Quattro, they were the ones who said, we don't have anything, let's just go. Genji, the same thing. Them scouting and committing to the compound gave them so much. I mean, instead for Quattro, when they realized this was a 2-man split and these guys go down, because they have to realize at this point, right? They could just have full speed sent it up to the compound because they knew these guys were fighting too. But they decided to play backside, which is obviously also a play that works, but I think they could have taken a 4v2 fight and then a 4v2 fight and they would have been better off. But they end up, they played this one against Dana extremely well. So nothing bad against that. But it's always a tricky, and I'm sorry, this game, I mean, I went over it a little quick. But it's once it comes out into the open and it's so much player, shooting based as to what they do, then this, I mean, doing it off of only a map stream is a little limited in regards to what info I can bring. But I don't think I'm allowed to use any clips on YouTube videos, so that's why I don't. But that was game 3. One more game to go. The last game of Erangel of day 1 of week 2 of phase 3 in PKL. Dude. So let's see. Pretty decent plane. Somewhat similar to the previous one. PSG go north. Any changes? No. Circle is east though. How do you rotate on this one if you're OPGG? I would assume that they go really late and potentially even take East Bridge. But they know there's no one Novo. It's all about when Quattro leaves. I don't know when Quattro would normally leave Milta. I simply haven't watched enough of their games. Stardom, they have left early. They want to go over and take some control. Makes perfect sense. Freak of Freaks, they push up towards prison to take the high, the hilltop up there. Again, obvious rotations. I mean, as soon as you get here, you can pretty much spread out how you want. Same thing with here. You can spread out how you want. You can come in from the north. You can pretty much spread out through all of this exactly how you want. And that's what I would assume for the most teams. So I wouldn't expect anyone to cross any of these bridges. Maybe, yeah, I was going to say maybe PSG might actually do it, but yeah. World class, they get to start moving. And now again, get everything you can early on, especially in Korea where nobody contests you anyway. This is an extremely scary split because there is no way in hell. Like normally you set your splits so that you have some kind of way to assist one another. But these guys over here have no way of helping if these guys get breached. Same thing the other way around. If all of Ence's Ace decides to crash this compound, there's no way that these guys are getting there in time. And if they then drive up, are too late, and want to go back down again, then Force have already gone in and taken their compounds, and all of a sudden the two remaining players for STA have nothing to play around. So scary split with very little info available. You see, had they crashed over, had they gone all the way towards June, that could have been, I mean, the death of of Stardom pretty much. New circle pups. Now let's see. This is an interesting one. Why a water, inaccessible rotation? I'll draw this up real quickly. A no-go rotation. You don't really want to go through Yas either, unless if you're already kind of in there. And even then, that's not true. That is sure. Oops, you got the forest. That can suit a lot of teams. A lot of teams can go in here. But a lot of the areas here also open. So you have, like, this is a very compound-based circle. You have the hilltop, which is a really good place to play from. We'll see now how they all rotate. Because this is just a foot race. I mean, everybody's pretty much outside. It shifts to the side. What do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5 team. So 11 teams outside this circle, as you can see. Which means that it's just a race. I mean, everybody knows that a lot is available, which is why everyone is just full speed sending it. Which also means that teams are forced to take fights. I mean, they're crashing into each other all the time. It's just a big race on who can get to compounds first. Crashing. And this is not crashes that are because they want to fight. These are crashes that happen because there is nothing else available. So they end up crashing. Also, I mean, the fact that DD keeps, like, maintains this 2-2 split, I would have assumed that they would be sitting 4 guys together, or at least 3-1 in this, but they actually stayed like this. That is very, very ballsy to do. Because, I kind of wish that SKT1 would have won this, and they kind of do. Look at this. Yacha has to leave now. That is a play from SKT1 that you don't see a lot of Korean teams do. You see this, he takes the bike, drives past to see if there's anyone shooting. Then he gets shot at from the Alamo compound. These guys shoot at him. He turns around like, guys, these two are both taken. These guys didn't shoot at me because they're only a duo, and that's the mistake that some duos tend to make. You have to shoot if you're a duo. You have to make it sound like you're 10 people in here. But they get crashed upon. These two guys not in a position to really help. And they go out to peek. They get knocked from force. Yacha has to go back towards his teammates. And now they're playing one side instead of two. Next circle goes even further east. Obviously excluding the most of the Povka. Excluding the northern side. And we still have the center, which is a good place to play. But World Class is kind of already taking control of that. Oh, they're going down. Okay, they don't want to play up here, I guess. Then you have the compound by the water. And this is the thing, right? Everybody knows that the next circle is going to shift away from water. So what's going to happen? Most likely, it's going to go somewhere here. Which is why they crash down instead of staying on the edge. Ta-da! Exactly what we assumed. So they crash down instead of taking the high ground position. Which allows for a Freak of Freaks to do that now. Ooh, nice hold by Quadro. They see them come down, and now OPGG has to rotate all the way around. They go to the shack. 2 guys who only one survives. Maverick is down outside blue. It's a nice reaction play by OPGG, but it's unfortunate because they pretty much have nowhere they can go but here. They could have tried to crash Forest down here, Forest, but they know that there were people. Did they get shot from that side? No, they didn't. So they probably could have stopped earlier in the forest, but they have no intel on this at all, and they're only 2 guys alive. So that's one of those like, you have to be extremely quick to call a play like that on your rotation, like on the go. VSG try to hold north. They're kind of split. How did this happen? Okay, so Star-Lord drives around to the backside building. He gets the flush on towards EJ. It does kind of leave his teammates alone, or leave them exposed to Griffin Black. And then they all crash in towards him. So that's all of VSG out. I'm not sure why he's on the edge, takes the vehicle. So he wanted to make... Okay, so Star-Lord wants to make a play on this guy, which he does. He gets the guy knocked. But that is just the most awful timing in the world. Because at this point, they don't know that Griffin Black are coming. So as soon as he drives, as soon as he starts driving here, that's when they come. And then he's already too far away. Like, he cannot turn around at this point. Then he's just going to get shot by these guys. And he cannot... I mean, he has to take the fight. Because he's already committed to the building, right? And then they come afterwards. That's just an extremely unlucky timing. Really unlucky. Quattro, play the south side. Force, chillin'. DD, chillin'. T1, chillin'. Circle sent us up. Everything is open now. Other than down here, everything is miles out in the open. Other than these 3 compounds. You cannot redeem. There are a few rocks and shit you can play. But that's it. You gotta do what Ares do here. Either you crash a compound or you die to blue. I mean, those are the things that you can do from here. New circle after this one. Pups. Compound. DG is gonna chill. He's not gonna do anything. He's just gonna wait. Look at that kill feed and go, please, more people die so I get placement points. Because right now there's still 9 teams alive. They crash up towards DG, has to leave with an 8 coming in. Ooh, GSP helps him out a little bit. Then he goes down, so Mirror gets to stay put inside. This is just a solo fight for the shack. That's where, like, all the solos go to the shack, and nobody contests this because they know it's taken. So they're forced, like, they're really pushing people out on the edge because there's nothing. We can even extend it. There's nothing to play here if you don't have control of one of the 2 compounds. Literally nothing that you can play here. So a yikes circle where everybody is forced to play on the edges. New circle goes center, so there's even less available. I think SKT1 at this point realizes, you know what, guys, we kind of just got to commit to this. I mean, if we run this way, they'll shoot us. If we run this way, they will all shoot us. We just got to crash. We just got to take the fight. And that's what they do. June shoots from the open in towards them, wants to get a third party. That's a really nice cleanup, actually, by Force. June gets a chance to run in, but doesn't work out. Moving too fast. Sounds like an elephant. Gets killed off in the end. I'm not sure exactly why June was shooting there anyway. You can see June shooting when they're breaching there. I don't know why this person would be shooting when there's only 6 alive and he knows there's a guaranteed point. Just use the time that they're engaging to push even further around and potentially hide in the building up here or something, because they're all focusing on this fight. Instead, he stops here to shoot. That's very confusing to me. At this point, there are so few players alive that 1 placement point is most likely more than 1 point. So, or at least it is 1 point. So, I don't know. Maybe a bit of a misplay by them, but it's the 2 teams. Surprise, surprise. It's the 2 teams that have the compounds in the open that end up going for the final fight. 4v2. Nice play by Intis Force. They know that they have to get out of the building. Force, this is an insane day for them. They win game 1. They get a 2nd place on Sanhok, and now they win this game too, I would assume, at least, unless if Yachev 1v3s them. He doesn't. That's a really, really, really insane day overall for Force. They get 8 kills this game. Let's count it up real quick. 18 points. Okay, so here they only got 1, but that's 19. 29. 29, 47 points on the day. 47 points in one day. That is a pretty damn decent day. And that is also going to be it for the analysis for today. So thank you guys so much for watching today's video, and I'll see you all next time.